What is up, good people? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'll be taking you guys through my journey with salvage vehicles here in Kenya and why I chose not to go the salvage route when I bought this Axela, and I just decided to go and buy it in Mombasa as a fresh import used car. So I've had Axela since March. We are in August and I've done around 8,000 kilometers with it, and once we get to 10,000 kilometers I'll just do a video taking you guys through how that 10,000 kilometers has been. But prior to getting that Axela, I had done two project cars which were salvage cars, and basically if you don't know what a salvage car is, I'll just take you guys through all that. So today we'll just be going through my Excels. I went back to the records and I found my Excels where I used to track all my expenses. So here we'll just discuss all the expenses for the VW Tiguan as well as the VW Golf car, and then I'll also be doing some B-roll just showing you both cars as we just discuss this Excel. And at the end of the day we'll just see how much I made or lost. And spoiler alert, I did lose. I didn't get a profit on either car, but I'll just take you through what exactly went wrong, what went right, and why I'm not doing that for now. So just a bit of background. Number one, I have owned around 4 cars here in Kenya, and those 4 cars, 4 were I'd say 3 were salvage and 1 is this Axela, which is not a salvage. So why did I opt to go the salvage route? Well, initially a friend of mine was doing that salvage business and he was doing quite well, and I just decided to give it a try based on his recommendation. So the first 2 cars that I went for were Mazda Demus, the old shape 2012 old shape. And those ones, the good thing with those vehicles, they didn't need a lot of work. So it was within 1 week or 2 weeks they were done, and then let's just say the other things we used to sort slowly by slowly as I was selling the cars. So those 2 cars, I'd say I broke even, and then after breaking even I decided now to explore and come to German vehicles. Was that the best decision? In hindsight, no. But to be fair, with the information that I had at that time, I don't feel it was the worst thing that I did. But let's just go through exactly what happened. So back in, I think it was early 2023. Yes, this is when I started this project. Was it? No, it was 2024, sorry. That was last year. This is when I did both of these cars, the VW Golf as well as the VW Tiguan. So I bought the Golf first, and then after buying that Golf, after a few weeks I got the Tiguan. So there was a point where both cars were being worked on simultaneously, and I'd say the Golf was completed first before the Tiguan, but there was a point where I was just using both cars as I was selling them. So for the VW Golf, it was a 2014 Golf, which was, I'd say, dark blue in color, and I'll just show you guys clips of the car so that you see exactly how it looks. And here the buying price was 650 shillings. That's what I got the car for, and again it was a salvage car. And for this car, what had happened, it's like a tree had fallen on it, so it did need a lot of work, and it also had a dented bonnet. So here you can see I had to buy the car as well as the bonnet. So the bumper also needed to be replaced, as well as one of the lights and the windshield, as well as the side mirror, and also needed to do painting. So the quotation I was given was 50 plus 30, which is 80,000 in total for the paint and labor, as well as the radiator carrier. So when the tree fell, it also damaged part of the engine compartment, so I guess that's why it was made a write-out. So also I had to buy a grill, I had to buy a radiator as well as a battery, and then this is miscellaneous. If I can just come here for the breakdown. So the towing fee for getting the car from where the insurance company had kept it, then this is the transfer fee for the logbook as well as the transport to get the logbook to me. The windscreen installation 2,500, transport of radiator parts was 2,000. The guy who brokered this deal for me, another 2,000. Fuel 2,000. Clearing fee 20,000 for some parts that I imported, and mechanic paint removal 200 bob. This was just a small job where I had scratched the side mirror, so somebody just had to come and remove that slight blemish there. So I was tracking each and everything. So the parts that I imported were the bonnet, the bumper, the light, as well as the side mirror. So those ones I imported from Dubai. I got a link up with a guy whose brother I think was there, so he just gave us a quotation. And yeah, you see, this was the projected costs that I had, and this is what I ended up paying. And you see, I paid 900 dirhams for this times the exchange rate. So for a lot of these prices, whatever I bought abroad, I had to do the conversion, but I think they were relatively cheap compared to what I'd have paid for in Kenya. So if you're doing a project car, if you can get a link up to somebody in Dubai, that will be very helpful. And I don't know if I'd recommend this guy of mine. Okay, the things ended up arriving, so if you really need to be assisted, maybe I can give you that link up. Just comment down below. But anyway, when it comes to, again, the light, this is what I had projected here, and this is what I ended up paying. So for a lot of the things, I'd say the projections weren't that off. In fact, some I ended up paying less, some slightly more, but overall my projections were solid. And now my projections again was just based on the information I had at hand. And as you can see, my projections were mostly now the visible damage that I could see. So one thing with salvage cars, which I haven't defined, but salvage cars are basically these cars that insurance companies now sell to people that have been written off, where the owner has been paid, and then it's just a write-off, and insurance companies sell these cars to people who want to buy them so that they can either repair them or some chop them up for parts, or yeah, the likes. So I just got this car because the engine was still intact, so it didn't have that much damage, and with a bit of TLC, I was sure that I could get it running. Now, you can see here, there are some things that I had not projected to spend on, and I did end up spending on them. So I had these wheel hubs, then I had the cleaning of the car, as well as jack and spanner, spare wheel, sump guard check, as well as light adjusting and gearbox check, oil leak seal, light washing, wheel hub, oil level sensor, oil sump repair, ignition barrel, AC, gearbox check, labor. Like you can see here, there's quite a lot of work done. For like the oil level sensor, that was 11k. Labor for light, one of the lights had an issue, as well as the fuel smell that ended up costing me 9,500. Oil sump repair 1.5, that's 1,500 bob. Wheel bearing 8,700 bob. So these costs here, which in total they came to around 102,000. These are things I had not projected to spend on. So 100k yearly ender I had not projected, and that's the disadvantage that I'd say with salvage cars. So you can go and do your inspection, and you will come up with this now cost of things just based on what you can see. But once you get that car running and you just use it a bit, other things tend to come up, especially now for this specific German car. And yeah, I ended up spending 100,000 more than I had anticipated. So in total, I spent around 1.2 million just repairing this car. And if you've ever been in the market for German cars, you know that a brand new, or not a brand new, but a non-salvage VW Golf basically goes for this price, if not slightly cheaper even nowadays. So a lot of things did go wrong. For example, there was an issue now with the windscreen, because I ended up buying around 2 windscreens, because the first windscreen that was bought, for 30,000, okay, for 20,000 actually, was not the one for the car. So I had to get another windshield. So that was just a mistake on the part of the mechanic or the shop where I took the car. So there were some things you can see here. I ended up buying a matching windshield, and I already bought a windshield. Now this one was 20,000. This one I managed to bargain a bit to 18,000. And while we were removing the wrong one, unfortunately it broke. So that was just a total waste of money, because if it hadn't broken, I already had a buyer. So when it was being removed, unfortunately it just cracked and it became useless. Lost my 20,000, ended up spending another 18,000 just because of that mistake. And I'd say also the quality of the paint wasn't the best from this specific shop. So all in all, this car, I ended up selling it for 900,000. Here I won't hide anything from you guys, like nilichomweka mbaya sana. So here 900,000. So if you can just minus from what we had spent, so I was out of pocket 344,000 shillings. So what did I learn for this specific car? Well, number one, you have to be very careful when you're picking parts, especially for German cars, because if you're not careful, then unfortunately you can end up selecting the wrong parts which won't fit the car. That was one thing. Number two, you also have to do your homework when it comes to these costings, because for some of the things I feel that niligongwa sini nini, these guys were charging quite expensive with the justification that this was a German car. So I'd say some of the things were honestly unnecessarily expensive, but again, I didn't know. So let's say the way the windshield, when I went to buy it again, I saved 2,000. I'm sure when it came to other things like the radiator or just the battery, they add up here and there. That 1,000 bob here, 1,000 bob here, next thing you know, that's around 15,000 to 20,000 that I could have saved, but unfortunately it didn't work like that. Yeah, so I also included all the fuel costs that I incurred while using this car, which is 18,000. And again, some people will argue you don't need to include this, but I was tracking each and every shilling that I was spending on this car with the aim of getting all that back. But unfortunately, I did not end up getting it back, and I went out of pocket 344,000. So let's go to the VW Tiguan. Let me just take you guys through how that Tiguan was. So in terms of the actual purchase, that was 670. So after the purchase, the next items here, I can see I had projected all the way till here, which was coming to around 322k from my projection. So the total expense was projected at 992. But as you can see here, we have all these items here, which is around 24 items which had not been factored in, and these were not in our projections. So for all those costs, this was a total of 183,000 bob that I had not projected to spend on this car, and I ended up spending. So just a brief background of this car. It was a 2008 model, and the only thing that had happened was the driver had, I think, hit a railing on one of the sides, so he just replaced the door shells. See here, I was just replacing the front light lens, the front wing, the left door shells, the rear light, doing painting, as well as the labor and the battery, and then some airbags, those ones that are on the doors, those ones had deployed, so I needed to have those ones replaced and repaired. Then one of the headlights had an issue, so it also had to be repaired. Then this was basically what I had anticipated, and then once those ones had been repaired, we noticed that the car needed a oxygen sensor, and for the mileage, this car had gone over 200,000 kilometers. The VW Golf, this one had gone around 57,000 kilometers, but this one was around 212,000 kilometers. So we changed the oxygen sensor, and then here we had the fees for the towing as well as the transport of some of the parts, the broker fee. I needed to get a boot handle, cleaning, fuel, transfer fee plus transport as well as mechanic payments. So I was tracking each and every shilling. So again, the mirror winder needed to be repaired. That was a 3,000. Door rivets to 750. Insurance, I was just getting third-party insurance, the one that you pay. I was paying around 1,000 bob per month for that cover. So just the third party. The same for the Golf. I think there was somewhere here for insurance. Yeah, it was just the third party insurance. It was actually 1,500 bob, and I'm sure that I could have gotten a cheaper rate on that insurance, but anyway. So here I was paying 1,500 bob. Then once the car was started, so these costs here were before the car was started. I think we started it once, and when we plugged in the machine is when we changed the oxygen sensor. But now from here, the gearbox console. So the explanation I got from the mechanic was that this was damaged by the person who was towing the car. So I had to get a whole new gearbox console. That was 15,000 bob that I had not budgeted for. Then fog light sockets, this wasn't expensive. Fog light bulbs, AC pump repair. Again, now mechanical works just for these various things. The labor, 10,000 shillings. I'm telling you, is hemorrhaging cash here, left, right, and center. Then the spark plugs I had to change. Then we had to basically rebuild the entire engine because I was told that it was done for. Things weren't running, so we changed the spark plugs. Still wasn't working, so we had to change the head gasket. Then water pump pipe had to be changed again, radiator pipe, then ignition coil harness plus the PVC, then labor fees, 18,000 for all this, I'm telling you. Then we have miscellaneous mechanic costs, boot repair because that boot door, again, it wasn't closing. Then I was also supposed to get the rear light, but I didn't end up getting it. So this one, just left it. So I decided to have the just the rear light stay the way it was. No miscellaneous repair. Apparently this car also had issues with the suspension. So links, that 500. Sway bar bush 6,000 guy, hiyo niligongwa kama fala kabisa. Mounting 6,000, labor 2,700. Cradle repair, that cradle had cracked for that car, I'm telling you, so it had to be repaired for 4,500 bob. I ended up buying another one because that repair, that cradle, it holds a lot of the suspension parts, so I wasn't confident with that repair work. And the crack was quite huge, it had compromised the integrity of that specific part, so I just had to change it later. And then you can see here, grace, ambush, bulb, labor. I was tracking each and everything. Check engine light repair for this car, 2,600 just to have the freaking light repaired, I'm telling you. And yeah, you have lower arm bushes. I'm telling you, the suspension was done for. You just had to change a lot of these bushes and a lot of the links and all that stuff just to get the suspension to be the way it was meant to be. The rear mainsail, again, this was something quite typical with VWs that I had to have changed. The timing chain gasket, there was some leaking going on, as well as the vacuum pump gasket. Coolant, I had to buy another PVC valve because not PVC PCV valve, because the one that I bought previously, it got spoiled. I had to buy another one. And here, I think the previous PCV valve that I was sold, it was 8,000 shillings. Yeah, it was, I don't know if it was original or it was second hand, I don't know, but I ended up buying another one for 11,500, as well as a PCV valve pipe, as well as the PCV pipe rather. The subframe cost me 15,000, or the cradle. Labor for all this. Window fix because the initial fix wasn't good enough. Brake fluid, fuels, air filter, AC refill, water pump because that had given way, as well as labor. So in total here you can see that I ended up spending roughly 1.17 million shillings. And yeah, I had hoped to sell this car for 1.2, but again I was not being realistic, and this car I ended up selling it for 850,000. So let's just see how much money that we lost. And here another 324,000. So here it was 344,000, here it was 324,000. So in total the amount of money we lost is quite staggering, if I'm being honest. That's 668,000 that just went down the drain, and I'm still paying for this money, at least through some other households, this YouTube channel being one of them. So make sure you guys subscribe. At least I find a way of returning back this money. And this is actually another car. You can get a car for this amount of money. Unfortunately for me, these were incurred losses. So what did I learn from the Tiguan? Now from the Tiguan, again, I'd say a car with very high mileage. If you want to get it for a salvage car, this purchase price, man, I'd say this purchase price is the one that completely wasted me. The actual value of this car, if I'm being honest, would be a fair value would have been 450,000. So if I had bought this car for 50,000, that would honestly have made sense, but it was overvalued. Again, for this Golf, same thing. In terms of this purchase price, I think a fair one would have been 500, and here I'd have ended up losing only 194,000. So I'd still have made some losses, here 104 and here also 194, but it will have been minimized compared to the actual losses that I incurred. So if I would have that option of going back in time, I definitely not accept to buy these cars at these prices, just given how much overvalued they were. In terms of the damage, high mileage, just stay away from it. You don't know what that guy has been doing, and cars here in Kenya are heavily abused. Here for the Golf, in terms of the mileage, it wasn't that bad, but I just say that again, the buying price is what wasted me completely with the Golf. The Tiguan, that project was just dead even before it ever began, just because of this price. And yeah, that's how that ended. So from this experience, I just decided now to have that peace of mind. So I went to Mombasa and I just bought that Mazda Axela that I'm currently using. Would I recommend somebody trying this specific project cars? Yes. Honestly, this project was quite fulfilling. It's quite interesting and it's fun. I won't lie, it's a fun project, but you have to do it smart. Now if I do it again, it'd just be more of a project car as opposed to trying to make profit. Or if it's make profit, I'd be very frugal and just be as stingy as possible, especially with the buying price. Just haggle and make sure you get the best buying price, because that will determine how the rest of the project will go. And now also that I know about how mechanics can screw you over, make sure you do your research in terms of the spare parts, especially if it's a car that you're not used to. Once you get used to it, that's another story. But just go on sites like GG, Facebook, join these groups, because I'm a member of this VW Golf as well as VW Tiguan Facebook groups, and they really helped, especially on the tail end of the project, just to get the parts and to know what exactly is wrong with the car. The internet is your friend. So if you're doing a project, please just research as much as you can, read or browse, watch videos, just ask questions on forums, join forums, Facebook groups, Telegram groups, whatever you can, Reddit, all that good stuff, YouTube, and that will go a very long way, because once you have that information is power. So this has been a long video, but long story short, I just needed peace of mind from this heavy loss that I had incurred. And yeah, maybe in the future we'll just do a project car here on the channel. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.